All right, so today is Sunday and I'm not sure what I'm gonna make. I know that I have to make food for the week, my grab and go food, so I'm gonna batch a couple of things. I wanna show you what I was able to dig out of the refrigerator and the shelves when supplies are low. So let's take a look. I'm gonna show you what I have. So I've got some sweet potatoes, and then I have some lovely mini white potatoes. I'm probably going to roast those and do those with a rosemary. My sweet potatoes, I think that I might just put a little bit of date syrup on that and just roast those. And then everything else that I have here, my spinach, and then I have some white button mushrooms, and then I have some crimini mushrooms, and then I have some eggplant and some leftover squash here, some zucchini, and then I went through my cupboards and I found some garlic and herb pasta sauce. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a vegetable lasagna. And then I have, look at this, I've got a bunch of tomatoes, and those tomatoes are kind of old-ish. So I'm probably going to make a salsa out of this, because I also have some avocados, they're pretty ready. And the way that I test avocados is I pull out the navel. Let's see here. I'm going to pull out the navel, and do you see how it's nice and that lime green? Then you know your avocado is ready. So we're going to make some salsa as well. So there's all the goodness that I have. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and make a vegetable lasagna. Now, since I don't do any wheat, I haven't done that for months and months, and that's normally what I stay away from. Any kind of grains I try and stay away from. Outside of some corn, I'll do some corn tortillas, and I might do some corn chips, like the nacho chips. But that's pretty much it. Every blue moon, some rice cakes, especially when I'm traveling. But vegetable lasagna it is going to be. And what I did, I have this soaking, and these are my cashews. And I have these cashews here because in my lasagna, I want to make a nice cheesy goodness, and I'm going to use my cashews as the base. All right? And then, last but not least, I have a whole sink full of celery. Look at all this phenomenal celery. So I like to start my morning with some celery juice as well. And so I'm trying to do a good liver cleanse, and I want to be prepared. So that's what's on the menu. I'm probably in the lasagna, I'm probably going to go ahead and put in some super firm tofu. And I like to have this frozen. Let me show you. So whenever I see a good price on the tofu that I like, I take it and I freeze my tofu, and I keep it up here. So I freeze my tofu. This is super hard. You can see it's all frozen. What I do is I like the consistency of this super firm tofu when I let it defrost. This is almost completely defrosted. See the color difference? This is frozen, this is almost defrosted. And what I do is when I take it out of the package, I'm able to squeeze all of the water out of it really well. And I like to make a tofu crumble. Now, the tofu crumble that you get in the stores is usually a wheat gluten, and because I'm staying away from grains, wheat specifically, I'm not going to go ahead and eat that. But sometimes, you know, when I'm making pasta or I'm making my vegetable lasagna, I want a portion of it with my crumble. And let me show you here. If you can see this crumble, it's very dry. And so when you cook it, whether it's in a pan or you're baking with it, It has the consistency of the tofu crumble, and you'll know that it's not that wheat gluten if you're trying to stay away from that. All right, so that's what I'm going to be making, and I hope that you follow along. These are really easy dishes to make. I like to say that everything that I make is super easy. It's just about chopping and seasoning. So let's get started. I think we'll start with chopping up the vegetables for the lasagna. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is slice up our eggplant, and we want to slice up our eggplant pretty thin because we're going to layer it like we do the pasta. So that's going to be our base, and we need to do that first because we're going to have our eggplant soak a little bit in a little bit of salt, because the salt is going to drain out the water. I don't want to have a lasagna that is super soppy and wet. All right, so next up are mushrooms. We have our button mushrooms, the white ones, and then we have our crimini mushrooms. And I love it because it's a bunch of protein in mushrooms. So we're gonna use it. I love it. Okay, so while we're waiting for the eggplant to finish draining, remember it was in that bowl, the plastic bowl, the Tupperware, and I poured some salt over it. So we're just waiting for a lot of the liquid to come out. It's going to probably take about another 10-15 minutes or so. So in the meantime, we are going to make the cheesy goodness. And if you remember, I was soaking cashews. All right, so I have these cashews, and this is what I'm going to make the cheesy sauce out of for our vegetable lasagna. So let me show you how it's done. All right, so here we are. with our cashews. They have been soaking, and this is about a cup of cashews. We're going to use a little bit of Himalayan salt. You can skip this if you don't want to use it. We have nutritional yeast, and if you use 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, that's going to give you 9 grams of protein. I label all of my jars, and that's part of my pantry system. So we're going to use probably 2 or 3 tablespoons. We're going to use a little bit of ground black pepper, and we're going to put it all into the magic bullet in our little cup. All right, we might have to add a little bit of water, but let's get this show on the road. All right, so next up we're going to make our filling for the vegetable lasagna, and that's going to be our tofu scramble with some spices and then the tomato sauce. I'm going to take our tofu, that's our nice and dry tofu, already crumbled. We're going to add about a tablespoon of garlic, chopped garlic. We have about a half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Then we'll put in about a tablespoon of the oregano. I have leftover spaghetti sauce, and then I have some other pasta sauce here. I had those up in the cabinet. So we're going to use first this Classico. This one is a nice onion and roasted garlic, so I thought, why not use that? I'm just going to put this in here. We're going to mix this up. We do want this to be a wet mixture. So we took out all of the liquid from the tofu, but we're adding back the mixture with our pasta sauce. And what I did was I looked for pasta sauce that had, most pasta sauce has sugar in it, but what I looked for was sugar that was like the very last ingredients, and I think that in this one with Hunt's, which is pretty pure, nothing in there that I couldn't pronounce, that one had a little bit of sugar on the very, very bottom. If I was in the right frame of mind, I would make this the pasta sauce myself, but this is how we're going to cheat. So this is going to be our filling for our lasagna. Let's have a look. All right, we're almost ready to go. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our eggplant, because the eggplant is ready. There's a bunch of liquid, as you can see it on the bottom. The salt has drawn out the liquid, and I'll show you how I dump it out. They are ready to use. I could have waited a little bit longer, but I want to get moving. So this is ready. Could go and squeeze a little bit. Not too hard, just enough to get that extra soppiness out, because we're going to have the pasta sauce in there. It's going to have, you know, liquid from the tomatoes. And this is actually the third time that I've poured out the water. I'm just showing you this last time. So every last little bit helps. That's it. Okay, so we are ready to go. I'm super excited about assembling this vegetable lasagna. It's going to be super, super tasty, especially since we have the cashew cheesy cream that we're going to be pouring on top. And then we're also going to have the tomato tofu crumble that we're going to put in the middle. All right, so the last thing I have to decide is, what do I want to use? Do I want to use these cute little one person, or yeah, it could be a snack. Half of this could be a snack, but normally you're going to eat the whole thing once you taste this. I could use these two, or I could go ahead and make a whole tray, and I think I have enough. Do I have enough for a whole tray? That's what I need to assess. I might have to choose a different pan, but let's get started. All right, so this is just some coconut oil. I'm going to scoop a little bit out. Just going to grease the pan a little bit. And I'll do the same thing with these two. I decided to go with these just because I thought, my son will probably want to eat some of this, and I could go ahead and freeze it as well. The big pan, I could cut it into small pieces and then put it in the freezer. That would work out beautifully. All right, let's get to assembling. We'll start with these first. We'll see how well we do with this one. I'm hoping to have a couple of layers. I think it'll work out. Keep the thinner ones for my next layer over there. All right, this will be good enough. Now what we're going to do is I think I'm going to go, oh, where are my mushrooms? Forgot our mushrooms. Mushrooms are going on as well. Put the mushrooms here. So I think I'll put mushrooms on first, right after we put that. Fantastic. And you don't have to be perfect about how you do it. That's what I love. Just spread it all out. Okay? Because remember, everything that I do, I want it to be easy. The hardest part that you're going to have is chopping. That'll be time consuming, but you know, pop open your laptop and watch a video or listen to a podcast about being plant-based or something like that. All right, great. So now what I want to do is I want to take some of our tofu mixture and I want to put it on top. going to spread it out. That's our crumble. It's going to be so yummy. I think we're going to have just enough. It's fantastic. So it's about 2 ladles each. We'll see how much we get on here. I'm sure I could have, you know, if I used a little bit of extra tomato sauce, I could have put more on. This will work. I might pull out the tomato sauce and put a little bit on top. I could do that. All right, that's great. I won't be stingy with it. I like the food to be nice and hearty, so you walk away super full and know that it's just all goodness. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put some spinach on top. And the spinach has water in it as well, so it's going to wilt and steam. And if you notice, I'm not putting any additional spices on. Over the spinach, I will put some more garlic because I want a nice, heavily spiced lasagna. That way you'll feel very satisfied. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to squish all of this anyhow. Super simple. Love it. All right, now we're going to put some, we'll start over here, put some strips. We'll do green strips first. I could use another one down here maybe. We will box it in. And the nice part is you can break it so that it fits. Right? We just want things to fit. All right, I'm going to take a yellow one. We'll put yellow here. That works, right? And so with this, we're just going to do the best that we can. We'll put it all towards the middle. How about that? Make it nice and pretty. Those are a little longer, so I'm going to break that. It's almost like doing an apple pie. Just make it all fit. We have some yellow that can go on top. You can shove some over, squeeze that in. Now what I want you to do is I want you to push. And we're just pushing it down. Now it's all going to roast together. All right, so now we have a little bit of this that we want to put in. Here's my spoon. I'm going to just drizzle that over it. And we're going to end up putting some more eggplant on top. Now, you could have put this in the middle. If you wanted to put this in the middle underneath the spinach, you could have done that. No problem. This is just the way that it ended up because I forgot about the cheesiness. I forgot that I was using that. All right, so you're just making sure that most everything is covered. Look, it doesn't look like much, right? But when you taste it, oh, so good. Everything is pretty much covered. Oops, we need a little bit on this end here. All right, so now we're going to go and take our eggplant. Take the thinner ones, put it on top. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Put that on. I think we are just making it, right? Barely making it. Oh my God, that worked out perfectly, right? Could have used a couple more. All right, so what I want to do here is I'm going to put a little bit of tomato sauce on there. We're going to have leftovers. So with these, I might be able to make some sort of a Thai soup with these. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm just going to lightly put it on top. We're going to put some aluminum foil on all of this. I don't want to put a lot on. We do have the cheesy sauce underneath it, and I'm basically putting this on top because I don't want the eggplant to get burned, and this will help steam it all together, right? So, my God, I might have this for dinner tonight. I know I'm going to have it for lunch tomorrow. That's something to look forward to. So wasn't this easy, you guys? It's going to be absolutely delish. I wish you could be here to taste it with me. Let's put a little bit more on the side over here. All right, I think we are ready to rock and roll. There you have it, my friends. Okay, so all of these are going into the oven, and we're going to put it in the oven at about 425. We're going to put it all on a cookie sheet, so just in case things bubble over, but I'm going to put some aluminum foil on top of it, and we'll put it in a 425 oven for about 30 minutes, and then I'll take the top off of one of them, see whether or not it's done, and I'll use my fork just to test how easily it goes into the vegetables, and then we'll be ready to eat. It's ready to go. Our vegetable lasagna is done, and I want you to take a look at this. How fantastic. I added a little bit of salad with it. Look at it. It's juicy. It's delicious, I'm sure. I'm going to try it out. Absolutely fantastic. You'd never know, the way that I did the tofu crumble, you would never know that there's not meat in here. And because of the cashew cheesy cream that I put on top, it tastes pretty creamy, and you really don't miss having your pasta strips. So this version of a vegetable lasagna is fantastic. I have tons of leftovers. I'm going to divide them up. I'm going to stick them in the fridge, and I'll be able to eat from this for a while. All right, bon appetit. Make healthy choices. One dish, one meal, one forkful at a time. All right, see you next time.